There's a little-known resource in Austin called the Austin Shambhala Meditation Center. We talk with two of the staff members today on Austin Faith Dialogue. Stay with us.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life. A series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
There's a resource in Austin that many of us probably haven't heard of, the Austin Shambhala Meditation Center. And today, that's what we'll talk about. I'm Sandy Wilder, your host, and here to talk about the program of the center are two people who are on the staff of the center. First, we have Carol Lovett, one of the senior teachers, and Joanne Trubitt, a co-program director in the Shambhala Meditation Program, correct? Yes. Now, let's not assume that many people know even that we have such a center here in Austin. So, Joanne, tell us what the Shambhala Meditation, the training center is.
Well, one thing about the center is we have we offer meditation to people who come in and participants who are interested in Buddhism or learning more about meditation. It's run entirely by volunteer effort, so really Carol and I aren't. There's no paid staff. There's not even any administrative staff. So it's all just run by our efforts. And we're part of an international organization. The center was founded by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche and is now directed by his son, Sakyong Mipham Rinpoche.
So we're fortunate, it sounds like, to have such a center here in Austin. And tell me a little bit about the programs. You're involved in some of the training, Carol, some of the actual teaching. What is it that you teach at the center?
Well, the center has several things going on there. It's Tibetan Buddhism and Shambhala training and what we call Dharma arts, which is a compilation of many different things like Kyudo, Japanese bow shooting, Ikebana, Japanese flower arranging, and things that we would normally think of in arts. The idea is that through many ways, many people can connect with their basic nature through practices of formal meditation practice or through things like how to arrange a flower arrangement and how to bring out the best in their house, how to arrange furniture. We start with basic meditation practice, which is a way of connecting with our humanness, our sense of being an ordinary human being, and how that is not something to be ashamed of, but actually something to enrich and discover again.
I'm intrigued that this center has probably been here a number of years, and maybe many of us have not heard of it. Perhaps you, Joanne, can say a little bit more about who founded the center here in town, and what was their motivation for bringing this kind of meditation center to Central Texas?
Well, I actually don't remember who exactly would be the founder of it. It's been around for probably 20 years, would you say, Carol?
Since 1976, when actually Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche came here to Austin.
But he founded the centers, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, in these different locations, and we actually are really fortunate because we're the biggest center in Texas. There's another center in San Antonio and a center in Houston, but we've been the most established for the longest time. So.
And what kind of people tend to come? When I think of Austin, for instance, I think of a city that has a large Christian population, a large Jewish population, a growing Muslim population, a Hindu temple, but I don't necessarily notice the Buddhist presence. So who actually comes to the center for programs or all the things that you offer?
It's probably people generally who aren't associated with a particular religion at this point in their lives, who have been a Christian or have gone to the mosque or whatever, but have not been very satisfied with the religion that they've been brought up in as children. And so normally we get people who are looking for something else, some spiritual path that they can call their own. So we're one place that people stop by. It's traditional Tibetan Buddhist meditation but also people come by who are part of established religions too, and are still looking for something else that they aren't finding in their religion. And we offer meditation practice to fulfill that need. So the emptiness that people feel, that search for something that to satisfy the sort of the angst in life, anxiety in life, people find that through meditation practice. Even though it's a simple thing to do and doesn't seem to have any kind of stars that you can put on your chest and say, I've meditated, by the fact that you sit down and see what you're thinking, work with your mind, and practice being on the spot moment, there comes a certain, you might say, satisfaction in doing that. And since meditation practice has not been a part of a lot of the major established religions, then people find that they can do that and also continue going to their churches or synagogues or whatever they're connected with. And sometimes they want to stay with our center as their primary practice, spiritual practice.
So that coming to the Shambhala Center doesn't imply that one is necessarily converting to a different faith, but simply adding something else to one's spiritual self, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, what happens then? I don't assume that anyone who shows up to begin the practice of meditation within, say, a month or so knows exactly what they're doing. Perhaps one of you can talk about the steps, the levels of courses offered at the center.
Well, the interesting thing about it is it seems like you can be doing it for a long, long time and still not know what you're doing. But we have a couple paths that we offer. One is Shambhala training, and that's a series of weekend workshops that are an opportunity to really get a good hit of what meditation practice is about. And Shambhala training is about being in the world. It really doesn't have, although it's the same form of meditation, it doesn't really have a religious overlay. It's secular. So you could be any religion and find Shambhala training useful and helpful. And then there's a series of mini weekends that sort of progress, that you take progressively. And then we bring Buddhist teachers here. We have a lot of classes in Buddhism. Mm-hmm. Carol teaches a class at the center, and we have classes for beginning to advanced students. And we offer meditation that's open to the public every night. You could be at the center if you were so inclined, and on Sundays.
That might be, considering how Austin is growing and changing, meditation might be a good idea. Now, you're a teacher then, Carol. Talk to us a little bit about the kinds of courses that you teach.
We have, we usually have like a 5-week course on Buddhism that's like a Wednesday or Thursday night. And people can come to that and see what it's like. We have open houses on once a month on Friday evenings. We have free meditation instruction on every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. People can just come in off the street, learn how to meditate. We encourage people to read books. There are a lot of books that are available that people can buy and learn the view of what Buddhism is about, also what Shambhala training is about, and see if those teachings connect with their own experience. We encourage people to be skeptical and yet try something too at the same time. So to encourage people to use their intelligence and see if the path that we offer people at the center is something that jives with your own experience, that makes sense to you. And if it does, fine. If it doesn't, well, this may not be the path that people like to stop at.
How would you, just as a volunteer with the center then, Joanne, how would you describe the success of the center? By that I mean, some faith groups might say, gosh, if more folks join us, then we are successful. Or some groups might say, gosh, if our project reaches more people, serves more folks who are in need, then we are successful. How does the Shambhala Center measure success, or does it think in those terms?
Well, that's an interesting question. We would like as many people to be exposed to meditation as we could reach, but we're limited by our just resources and that it is an all-volunteer thing. But I think we would measure success in that way if as many people as were interested in meditation we could offer programs to that were interesting to them. And I guess it feels like we've been really well trained by people who trained us to meditate and to do what we do. So it feels really good to be able to turn around and offer that to someone else. I guess that feels like something you just would like to do.
A good sense of satisfaction, sure. Well, what is that training then for someone who is interested in teaching others to meditate? What does that training look like? What did you go through?
Well, I practiced for many years and attended programs and helped on events, staffed different programs that were offered, and attended more intensive training sessions, not here in Austin, at our other larger centers, and did that. And then there's a formal set of teachings of programs that you undergo to become a meditation instructor, teacher training, and then just sit in front of the group and rely on your training and start teaching, and with other senior students giving feedback and pointers on how you did. And it's like a mentoring program at the beginning, and then in turn I do the same with people who are coming along. It's very much of I'm the student, then I become more of a teacher, and then students behind me become the teachers, and it's a very organic process that happens there.
Very similar, I understand, to other faith traditions as the teachings are passed on. Well, when we come back in the second half here, just a minute, we'll talk about the visit of the founder's son, I understand, coming up next weekend, which is going to be quite an event. I wonder if you could briefly tell us, though, Joanne, just a little bit about your background. What brought you to Shambhala, to the center?
Well, I had a friend who was a member of the center, and she would periodically send me postcards about events, and I would go sometimes and then not go anymore. And I went and got meditation instruction and then didn't go back for a long time. And then I was going through a divorce, and it felt like things just weren't really working out real well in my life. So I was sort of looking for something. And that's when I started practicing more regularly and really kind of making a more of a connection.
I suspect many people who are watching will have had the same kind of experiences recently, something difficult. And I think your story will help lead other people to the center. So we'll come back for the second half here in just a minute and talk about this visit next weekend. Meanwhile, thank you both. And thank you for being here for the first half of Austin Faith Dialogue. We'll be right back. We're glad you're with us for the second half of Austin Faith Dialogue. We're talking about Austin Shambhala Meditation Center with two folks at the center. One is Carol Lovett, who's a senior teacher there, and Joanne Trubitt, who is a co-program director of Shambhala training. It's good to have both of you. And as I mentioned in the first half, you have a special guest coming up this coming weekend. So it's time to tell folks who is coming and the significance of his visit. Sakyong Mipam Rinpoche, if I pronounced it correctly, right?
It's very close.
Okay, so tell us about him and when and where and all that about his visit.
Well, we really are excited to have this rare visit of the Sakyong to Austin. He hasn't been here for many years. He's the head of our group internationally, so he is actually, heads a lot of different centers like ours. I mean, we have 100 members at our center, and there's lots of members worldwide. So he's the son of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and he's received teachings from many of the important Buddhist teachers of this century, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and Peno Rinpoche, and he is a wonderful teacher. I studied with him at a program that he taught this summer, and he's just been in retreat for long periods of time, so he's just been studying a lot, and he's just got a lot of stuff to tell us. And he's a real humble, magnetizing sort of person, and he's going to give a talk that's open to the public it's at St. Ed's on April 1st, Saturday, April 1st, from 7:30 to about 9:30 or 10, and it's in the Ragsdale Center, the Maybe Ballroom, and you can get tickets if you just come at that time, or you can call the center for more information. And then the following day, Sunday, April 2nd, he's going to do a meditation workshop that will last the whole day from 9:30 to 5.
And is that also something that anyone could show
Anyone.
up
It's
for?
going to be pretty much targeted for people who are just beginning to be interested in meditation, or, just want to hear him. So,
a rare treat.
yes.
But now, Carol, why would an ordinary person who perhaps hasn't come to the center before want to come and hear him? What would be the draw of his visit?
I think the draw is the curiosity about meditation practice. We hear a lot about it in the media. We read about it. Some of us have even tried to do it on our own. But the draw to that, as I mentioned earlier in the program, of trying to deal with that anxiety that we all have. If we sit down quietly and there's a question of why am I here? Why is this happening to me? Things like that, especially as Joanne said about her divorce. When times are rough for us, that's when that anxiety comes out. More so than when things are going well. But even when things are going well, there's that little thought in the back of our mind saying, when is it going to end? Things are going too good. It's going to be over with soon. And that little thought, the little nagging thought, is always there if we actually listen to it. And so we say that through the practice of meditation, we actually come to deal with that, with the fear of what's going to happen, with that fear. And we learn how to be dignified, compassionate people, to actually be able to relate to each other on the spot, in the moment, with each other, with our friends, with our coworkers, with our family, and to know that we can do it as for what we are, despite all of our flaws that we may think we have. And we can actually be kind to ourselves. And the way that we can be kind to ourselves and in turn extend that to others is amazingly through a simple thing of meditation practice, of just sitting down and seeing, who am I at this moment? What's going on with me? And that's what he'll be talking about.
I've sometimes heard that described as becoming more centered. Would that be an accurate term?
That would be, you might say that, of just centering, meaning bringing your mind, your thoughts, and your body into this one spot where you're at right now, sitting in a chair or sitting on a cushion, and just bringing everything together at one spot. So you could say that would be centering. And then from there, seeing what happens from that.
Thanks. And Joanne, you're helping coordinate this visit, I understand.
I don't want to take credit for that. I'm doing the publicity for it.
That's an important part of coordination. When people come then to hear him, should they expect an actual session of the practice of meditation on Saturday night, or should they expect more of a lecture, more of a how-to, just so folks know what to expect?
Well, Saturday night will probably just be a talk, but there will be meditation instruction offered on Sunday. So if someone was interested in that, actually beginning to learn about meditation in a hands-on kind of way, you'd probably want to do that Sunday program. Or as Carol said, we offer meditation instruction every Sunday at the center for no charge. So,
and I wonder then if people are interested in doing follow-up after the visit, does the center have, say, a small library of resources or anything like that also?
Well, we do have probably the best resource that we have are meditation instructors who really work with people one-on-one and sort of guide their, recommend books that are appropriate or classes or things that might be coming up for newcomers who might not quite be able to figure out what's appropriate for them to do. And we're offering some special classes after the visit. And like Carol said, we offer periodically open houses and something we call Taste of Shambhala, which is just like a meditation instruction and then an opportunity to sort of socialize a little bit and ask questions, and so people can kind of get a sense of who's here and
sounds like a good opportunity, not in an atmosphere that's not too pressured.
Yeah, there's no pressure to. We don't even want people to join until they have a sense of what they'd be joining. So it's just, we definitely want people to just figure out if they're interested in it. It's not very high pressure at all.
That would be welcome for many folks, I imagine. Now, after Mr. Rinpoche is here, what does the center hope to have as a follow-up? Will he, say, be coming on a regular basis? Or will there be other specific disciples of his coming?
He probably won't be coming here for another
decade.
No, we're just kidding. We don't know when. We will have as Joanne said, we'll have a class that will be. We'll probably have flyers there at the weekend program to say when that will begin. Will probably be a couple weeks after that program for people to come to, and in a smaller setting than a huge hall like at St. Ed's. So we will be having that. We'll be having a mailing list that people can sign up and get information flyers that we send out. We will be, a Rinpoche is a title, it's an honorific title, means a precious one. So there's a lot of, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's a lot of teachers called so-and-so Rinpoche. And so we will be having another Rinpoche, a woman actually, the second weekend of September, Khandro Rinpoche, who has been here actually last year and a time before that, who will be doing another public program. So we do have teachers come through our center and stay, and we host programs. So if people are interested in those, being on our mailing list would be a good place to start to hear about those upcoming visits.
And I either have had or will here in a little bit that have up the telephone number of the center. I wonder if the center has, say, a website also? Or?
Yes, thank you. We do have a website. www.shambhala, shambhala.org/center/Austin.
That'll be a good way for some of the wired people in Austin to get in touch with you. And the center itself is actually in South Austin, correct?
1702 South 5th Street. That's South 5th, not West or East 5th Street. And there are directions on our website on how to get there, but it's basically between Barton Springs Road and Old Torf.
Okay. And in the first half, we talked a little bit about how you came to be involved with the center, Joanne. I wonder, Carol, what your story is. What brought you to the Shambhala Meditation Center?
Well, being as old as I am, I was looking back in the late 70s for a spiritual path. I had been dissatisfied with the religion that I was born and raised in. So I started reading books and eventually came across a book written by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and went to Houston. I was not in Austin, I was in Port Arthur, Texas, and asked for meditation instruction at that center there and started practicing, and then quit for a year and a half, and then it became sort of haunting that maybe I should start practicing again, and I did, and so I've been practicing ever since 1979, since then.
And what difference do you think practicing meditation has made in your spiritual self?
The difference that I can see is, I use the analogy as you are a little kid and you grow up in height, you don't really realize that you're growing taller or you're getting heavier unless you make a little mark on the doorway, and then 6 months later you're an inch taller. And so my progress in meditation is similar to that, in that I feel that I haven't really noticed anything on a day-to-day basis, but over the years I feel that I've become a lot softer, gentler person, and actually am able to hear other people and see other people rather than my preconceptions of people, to actually hear them and see them, and from that talk to them in a genuine way.
That is good growth. We have time then. Thank you, Carol. We have time, Joanne, since you're doing publicity for your visitor this weekend, to have you do one more pitch. Who's coming, when, where, all that.
Okay, well, we're really excited. Sakya Rinpoche will be giving a public talk entitled Opening One's Heart and Mind at St. Ed's in the Maybe Ballroom in the Ragsdale Center. And that's at 7:30. And it would be good, if you're interested, to call the center at 443-3263 and leave a message, and someone will call you back, because we do have tickets, and you can pay by any way you want. We have.
And I'll reiterate that you're staffed by volunteers, so please, people, call to let you know, right?
Although you can sign up at the door if, we still have tickets and stuff.
I'm sure there are lots of folks in Austin who will be interested. This is a special event. So thank you both so much for coming to talk with us.
Thank you, Sandy.
Carol and Joanne. We hope it's not the last time that we hear about the Shambhala Meditation Center. And we thank you for joining us this week on Austin Faith Dialogue. We'll see you here again next week.